Hello, sir. How are you doing? How are you doing, sir?
Good, very well.
Sir, सब लोग चिल्लाते रहते हैं people should know what is copyright, but shouldn't they make an effort to learn copyright? Till when will people like you go and keep educating people about copyright? What do you think?
This is a good question. I think it really comes down to the fundamentals of what is copyright. And जिसको सीखना है what is copyright, I suggest that they go to this thing called Google. It's free, it's very educated, and you've got all the information there, right?
Right.
As opposed to coming on to every single forum and crying and begging to learn about copyright. I mean, honestly, in my view, businesses should learn about business. Musicians should learn about making music. Filmmakers should learn about making films. I think the extreme lack of in our industry, what is the most important thing? In our industry, the most important thing is the creativity itself, right? Quite frankly, I don't see as many forums on songwriting, as many forums on marketing, as many forums on the hottest new platform, as many forums on many of those things. I just find that almost everyone worth their salt wants to understand copyright, how to make money. Everyone's kind of fighting over it. And the fact of the matter is, sure, systems are broken. In which country aren't they broken? I mean,
Yeah.
everyone talks about global standards, global this, global that. अबे यार गूगल पे जाके पढ़ाई करो थोड़ा या देख लो what's happening in the news. I mean, everywhere in the US it's the same thing going on. Lots of legislation are being changed. I mean, why are we cribbing and crying about only Indian copyright system? I think honestly at a certain stage we all need to just get over it, right? Yes,
Right.
we have a system. We need to be able to be in the system to make that change, and I think a lot of us are trying to do that. A lot of us have no vested interest. I mean, honestly, I'm an employee in this. I mean, I'm not a musician. I'm not a business owner. I have no direct money to make out of it. So I think likewise, everyone should figure out their place in the ecosystem and figure out how can people come together, right? The second part of it is I just find there to be a lot of trust deficit, right, between almost everyone, and rightfully so, maybe to a certain extent. And pretty much in the past of the music industry, that trust deficit was only a large deficit because that's all there was. There was just no trust between various people. But today, I think we have some phenomenally young, talented people. We have a really large Punjabi music industry that's
Yeah.
really doing so well, where the
Yeah.
artist is in control. And I think that's really, really important for us to know that the artists need to be in control. They need to be in driver's seat of the where the music trends are going in. You need to have businesses like us or others. You need to have collection societies that form a web around these to be able to monetize the music that comes out. And that's how an ecosystem gets formed. We need to be talking really about subscriptions. We need to be talking about those things a lot more than learning to find out copyright. The fact of the matter is, you see, a copyright is worthless, absolutely worthless, unless the song is a hit. So why are we putting, making a hit not first in our conversation? So that's honestly my two bits on copyright. But
No,
but having
this is
said that, I
this
mean,
is perfect. I mean, मैं गंदा गाना क्यों चुराऊंगा?
तो वही बोल रहा हूँ कि यार out of, you see, the thumb rule of the music industry is very, very simple, right? 10% of songs make up for 100% of the spends, right? Our hope is that those 10% really make up enough profitability for us. The remaining 90%, sure, and people talk about long tail and this and that, but the fact of the matter is that the cycle, and it's the same cycle for the film business as well. When Karan Johar makes a movie, when he makes 20 movies, all 20 are not really all the glorifying hits. There's always some hits and some peaks. So I really think that as an industry, as an artistic community, as a community of businessmen who around the artistry, we need to move the conversation to a more creative speed. We need to move the conversation to consumers, and we need to keep corporate things like this to a level where where it matters. That's the discussion. Nothing beyond, nothing below that.
But sir, isn't this more like isn't this more of an issue of taking the horse to the water and the horse is still not going to drink? मतलब आप कोशिश कर करके भी जिसको नहीं सीखना है कॉपीराइट पर बैठ के चिल्लाएगा ही वो उसके बारे में. I mean, गूगल भी नहीं करेगा भले उसके फोन में.
See, Look,
Yeah.
it's like this, right? I mean, there are valid stakeholders in the industry who are concerned, who are driving it forward, who have a legitimate reason to be concerned about it. And that those stakeholders should be the stakeholders that ideally need to be talking about it. Those stakeholders where the lack of copyright or the extra features of copyright or the lack of understanding thereof or the lack of commerce not happening because of some arbitrariness in the law, it directly affects some people, right? Whether those are musicians, whether those are labels. And I think those are the people that directly need to move the baton on the copyright conversation. We are talking about 100% of the industry. I mean, almost every conference I go to, we see a lot of this. But there's very little. I mean, my point is as follows, right? I mean, if you're a small label based in a smaller town, shouldn't your first point of thought be, how do I sign on the hottest new artist? How do I stay relevant in the industry? How do I put out
Make
more
money
and more
basically.
material that creates more and more hits? Correct? No, it's not money. I think you don't start with money in the music business. You start with music, right?
Right,
So the
right.
more money you have to spend on music, the more money you'll make because you'll have more music, right? So it's a vicious cycle in that sense. And I think if I was a smaller label, I would first really be bothered about how to really put out more music. That's the more relevant. I mean, think about it. We are a country of 1.4 billion people with a music industry that's hovering around 200 million US dollars. Now, in a 200 million US dollars, when we start scrapping about copyrights and 2 rupees here and 5 rupees there, we seem to be in a situation where we're kind of cannibalizing on each other. The conversation needs to move beyond cannibalization to increasing the pie. And to increase that pie, we need to obviously have more artists, more songs, more music out there. Simple as that. We need to have more methods of monetizing it. We need to have more methods of marketing that music. Only when all of that happens, does your ownership of that copyright turn into value or monetary value. And I think that is the conversation, I'd certainly be most happy to be having.
So, like you talking about stakeholders, one of them are also the entertainment lawyers. How important are they to the industry nowadays, considering everyone is shouting copyright?
I think lawyers are certainly important. I mean, if you have a problem, if you and I enter into a fight, we end up beating each other. We would, we would go to a doctor, right? We would,
Yeah.
if your hand breaks, you would go to a doctor, put on a fracture. I mean, if you need mental help, you'd go to a therapist, right? So likewise, if you need legal help, why would you not go to a lawyer? So I think in the overall ecosystem, I always believe three people are important: doctors, financial people, and legal people, right? So, in that sense and in that context, especially in the music industry, I think lawyers are really, really very critical in the ecosystem. Uh, Albeit, it's also true that the entire IP ecosystem, the entire entertainment law ecosystem, is very new in this country. I see, a lot of younger lawyers getting into the game, which is really very nice. So I certainly think that as a younger musician or as a younger company, rather than worry about doing things that I don't understand, which could be deep contracts, which could be things that are copyright, it's perhaps prudent to spend a little bit of money on a lawyer. I think it'll help bring dividends a lot. But having said that, I'll say one thing. It's not a question of should you get a lawyer. It's a question of which is the lawyer you should get, right? I mean, the fact is that it's a young industry and everyone seems to be knowing everything about copyright these days, and hence, from that perspective, it's really important that we have an understanding of what we need. If it's regular transacting law, if it's a simple enough contract, you really don't need a high profile law. If it's litigation, then you need a litigator, right? So accordingly, like in engineering or in doctor, there are many things. There are many things that are different, right? You got software engineers, you got hardware engineers, you got mechanical engineers. Likewise, in law, there are different kinds of lawyers, and I think it's critical for anyone starting out and who has a serious long-term view of building their own career in this business or building their business in this business, that good legal support is always very welcome. And I place emphasis on the word good, not just legal
Yeah.
support. So it's not, again, I'll repeat, not a question of should you get a lawyer. It's a question of what is the kind of lawyer you need and who's good enough, who's got integrity, who's got trust, and who's happy to stay in the background and be able to help you out achieve your goals. And I think that's really the key.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking time on a Monday morning. I mean, I'm sure you have to rush.
No problem.
So I won't eat your brain much.
I-
आज नहीं खाऊंगा next time. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Hardik, as always. Bye.
Bye bye.